I should have just not corrected you for that one. Just been like, and I'm Ned. And I'm like, yep.
I was in the movie.
Hello, everyone. We're the Continuity Crew. I'm Will.
That feels weird.
That's when. And today we've returned. We're back after our long hiatus. But of course, we came back. For Spider-Man.
Of
course,
we
the
did
most. Of course, Spider-Man. Our last video was our DC recast. Before that was my trailer react I edited.
No, it was actually after the trailer.
No, I think the last one was the trailer. The last thing we filmed together was the DC, yeah. But then I did whatever.
Haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna watch it later.
We're gonna talk about No Way Home. We're gonna stick strictly probably 5 minutes of just our review, non-spoiler, our review, because there is some stuff to spoil in this.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to spoil in this.
So let's just get right into it. I liked this movie a lot. I loved what they did with the characters in it. Some, I will say, are iffy, like Zendaya and Ned are some iffy characters. Our villains are even like I guess I liked what they did.
Let's just talk about like when it comes to villains. Let's just talk about like the ones that we saw in the trailer.
Yeah,
because I did see a few of those.
So Doc Ock, love what they did. Good kind of redemption. I mean, that's what happened anyways in Spider-Man 2, but it was still good to see that come full circle again.
Yeah.
So we just went in the circle again. But that was still cool. Green Goblin, scary motherfucker. He did a great job. Love Willem Dafoe. He was probably creepier in this than he was in the original one. Also, it's been...
He was a little bit, but this time he's kind of more colorful.
Yeah.
Because of just the way they shot this film.
Yeah, and they're giving him more of that comic book look, I guess.
And they didn't really do a very Sam Raimi kind of styling. They just kind of like had him like be in the dark sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly...
And just kind of his character in itself kind of changed too, of how he's like... almost double personalities. Like they did kind of do that in the Sam Raimi thing, but it was more just like when he was in the mirror, he did that. And so,
and they had actually, they were all mostly speculations before this about like his double character kind of thing, him going back and forth. Because this one, they didn't really like have him just talk back and forth. They just kind of went full with it with the Goblin.
Yeah.
So the character, there was just like,
he's trying to,
Goblin, full Goblin.
Yeah, crazy person. And then Sandman, probably the worst villain, unfortunately. Just his motive was stupid. Like they kind of just flipped it, which I feel like this is spoiler territory, but it doesn't matter. Then Electro, pretty badass. I really liked Jamie Foxx. I liked what they did with him. Again, made no sense, and they even kind of said that in the movie. Like, just don't think about it. Like they mentioned his hair. Yeah. And they're like, just don't think about it. And I'm like, okay. I kind of like it when they do that in movies, but not. It was fine here because this is such an event movie. I mean, I'm not going to nitpick too much. I'm sure you will, but.
I'm going to be real with you. I did not like this movie all that much.
That's fair.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It was cool. Like, it was really cool to see, all that stuff. But honestly, I think this movie was way too rushed, and they shouldn't have released this December. I think they should have waited until maybe next year, and I know that's probably gonna mess up the MCU timeline stuff and like the release dates, but I could care less. I honestly think that they should have just waited for this movie to be released next year, because I wasn't even nitpicking, and I usually say this because like every now and then I'll nitpick something, but this time I wasn't nitpicking. I just sat there and I noticed that a bunch of the heads were just floating or like glitching back and forth.
I will say, in its defense, I guess, it's a 2.5 hour movie and you're de-aging like 3 to 4 characters.
Well, that's not really like what I mean. What I'm saying is like
just this
movie was just way too quick for them to make for something that's 2.5 hours.
And I see what you're saying, but I would also think like, well, do you mean like would it be fixed if you added 30 minutes to it if it had more story?
No, I think it'd be fixed if they took their time with this movie.
Story wise or just look wise?
Everything wise.
Okay.
Because I think the way the story was done was a little short. It didn't feel like they knew what they were doing maybe about halfway through. And like after that, it was just like, okay, we're just going to throw everything in there. Yeah. Before that, it was, okay, quick, he's arrested, quick, someone shows up, quick. this stuff happens, and then after that, it was like,
yeah, it's like they wanted to get to the meat and potatoes of everything, and I understand that. I do like the moments we had, but their process to getting to those moments is weird. It's rushed, and I agree 100%.
The way it looked did not feel like Marvel. Maybe the first half did.
It didn't,
because like it looked like Illumination. No, what is that? Weta Digital and some other one. They have this like very 3D look, and then you go to Sony.
It looks like a Sony movie.
Yeah, it looks like
a Sony
movie.
I agree 100%. I felt that, and I would say, it was the same way though. I feel like with Far From Home and Homecoming. I
don't think so.
I think Homecoming totally is Sony movie, almost 100%.
Yeah.
Marvel a little bit more in Far From Home, but that's just because it's a big step after Tony has died, and you've got. So there's a little bit more of the MCU touch in there, but this one did feel very Sony's hands on it, but
it's like they split it literally right down the middle.
Yeah,
because like it was like the first and the beginning of the second act where it was like all clean, it was nice and neat by Marvel or something.
Yes,
and then after that it was all like
over
Sony.
The place. Yeah, I think also I honestly feel like I've had this issue when I've tried to write something is I get. Like even like an essay for school, not even like necessarily like a script. Like you get to a point and then you forget what you're doing. So
yeah, but these guys are paid professionals.
I agree, but you've got two studios bouncing back and forth. But it's like you get 50% through, and then you just don't even remember that first 50%, and then you're like, then we'll go with it. But I think overall, like what they did with this movie is a huge event. I mean, it was amazing to see.
It did absolutely nothing to
MCU. No, there's no impact, which I'm actually okay with. Yeah. Well, no, that's not true necessarily.
No, not for the MCU. If we're talking about impact,
specifically Tom,
that's what I mean. But like that's different. Now it's gonna be a Sony thing because like that ending. No, he's Sony.
Well, he's still gonna be in the MCU. Like
I don't know. Somehow I doubt that.
No, he is.
I know that they confirmed it and all that stuff, but somehow I doubt that he'll 100% completely be in the MCU.
He will be. Just how they ended stuff and did post-credit scenes, he's still gonna be moving on. This was a great movie. Like just final thoughts. I think it was a great movie. I think it was a great event, an amazing event movie. But it could have been better. I agree. I think it probably does feel rushed. Yes, but what we got. I'm happy with it. It could have been better, but I'm happy with it. I couldn't have asked for anything more. Like there's moments I was brought to tears. I had my hands on my head, like freaking out. It was amazing. It's true. But let's give our ratings real quick because I feel like we'll talk for a little bit about spoiler stuff. So we do a critical and an entertainment rating, 2 different ratings, 1 out of 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What's your critical rating? We'll start.
Critically, just the overall quality wasn't that great. The writing felt like all over the place. This movie felt like it would have been 4 hours long, and I honestly I would have been fine with that.
There was a moment in this movie, and I leaned over to Brett. I was like, I just want 3 hours of this.
Yeah. There was like times when it's like this should have been 4 hours long. Just because like of the way they set it up, set everything up.
Yeah. Real quick, like I think they just try to do it's just the point of yes, it was rushed by the story because it's like they got 20% done and then they wanted to go somewhere else. It's like they could have done like a Craven movie because apparently Tom Holland approached that they could have done anything else with the first starting point of this movie. But yeah, go ahead though.
Overall quality wasn't great. Story wise, it was, and then just the way they handled.
Some of these characters.
Yeah, I didn't think it was all that great, so I'm gonna just give it a 5. I did enjoy it. I knew
you'd give it a 5. Yeah. I just knew.
We're gonna talk about it later, but the reason why it's 5, it might go up to 6 if I watch it again, is because there's some moments in this movie that I wasn't expecting to absolutely like. So.
And so for critical, for me, I'm gonna say I'm caught between a 7 and an 8, so I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
Fair enough.
Entertainment wise, I'll start us off. I'm gonna cheat and give it an 11. Like there hasn't been a movie like this since Endgame for me. I mean, there's the last movie theater experience that I had that was this good was I went and saw Matrix in 4D, and that was just amazing. This one, it was just such a cool event. I mean, I'm gonna put 10 on the list, but like realistically, like it broke the scale for me. Like I was just, there's not many movies that make me feel the way this does. So,
entertainment value. Let's see. Fan service was a lot.
It was.
It's not normally what I like in movies, but every now and then, you know, I like the little tingly stuff. So, aside from fan service, entertainment value, there's some moments were funny.
Some were cringy.
Some were really cringy. Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but yeah.
No, they were.
J. Jonah Jameson.
I liked it. I don't know. I liked it.
I was gonna say like,
but again, his character felt pushed in and rushed.
Yeah, I was gonna say that like they just put him in there.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he's a podcast guy, and I think they
again became a news guy.
Yeah, it's very like you said.
Well, before that, like a year, like in Far From Home, he was in the newsroom, and then now he was in a podcast, and then now he was in a newsroom.
I think he like was always filming like as a podcast guy, and it became like breaking through another news station. Because yeah, it was because there's an original newscaster, and they're like, oh, breaking to this independent person. But
I barely remember.
Entertainment.
Entertainment. I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
Bullshit. Entertainment, I'll call bullshit. Entertainment's where I can be like, it was a 10 out of 10, even if it was the shittiest piece of shit I've ever seen. And I bet I could look at our list and disagree with that. But anyways, we're gonna talk about spoilers now. So if you haven't seen No Way Home, people on the internet have been kind of good. I mean, it's actually releasing in the US today, so I feel like it's about to get pretty nutty on the internet, so be careful. But so spoiler alert, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Our other Spider-Man were in it.
No.
Holy shit. You hadn't watched any of the trailers, and we had both seen leaks and stuff. But even still, like I took a lesson out of your book. I was still skeptical. Like yeah. I was like, I'm not sure until I see it on screen. I'm okay if it doesn't happen. Like, I don't want to get my hopes up.
It's funny because like halfway through, I wasn't expecting them anymore.
Oh yeah. And just how it was done.
I just completely forgot about it. Like, yeah. I remember.
Like, I would have been okay with just the villains.
Yeah,
but,
I would have been fine. I was satisfied.
Yeah. There's just so many moments in this movie. Like, it was insane. So I think. I don't even know where to start. I mean, we could talk about the villains again.
Yeah, let's start with the villains. The worst one, Sandman.
Sandman. Okay, his motive is so stupid. Like, he's a good, friendly guy. Literally helps out Spider-Man, and he's like, "Oh, okay, you're another Spider-Man from this universe. Cool, I'll still help you."
Yeah, but everyone else was kind of established, like what time and date they like disappeared.
Yeah,
his was just kind of like, I just want to get back to my daughter. But before that, he was helping Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly.
So which one is it? Like, is he? Is he the one before he helped out Spider-Man? Is it after?
It had to have been after. It had to have been when he floated away into the sunset, which just doesn't make sense because then he's just like angry and pissed off because Electro got pissed off. He was just like a follower mindset and was like, oh, okay, I'll go with you. I do like Green Goblin. We already talked about him pretty much. They made him the main villain again, which
Green
was
Goblin?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I like what they did. Oh yeah, spoiler again. I mean, I already said it, but Aunt May dies. That hit me pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't expect her to say "great power, great responsibility."
I didn't either. I thought we were gonna get that from the Spider-Man.
Toby, yeah, I thought or Andrew Garfield even, but they still had their moment with that line too. But it was a good moment. I just like what they've done with Tom Holland's character now, though. I love how he's just Spider-Man. Like he's his own character. He's Peter Parker. Like it's good. And I'm
really worried about what they're gonna do with him after. You saw that suit, right? Like, yeah. You remember the suit? Yeah, I'm really worried because it looks like it's heading to Sony.
Yeah, it does.
That's what I was saying before. I was like, I feel like this is the end of the MCU Spider-Man, and then it just goes to Sony.
I think we'll have another team up or two with Spider-Man. But yes, no, I agree.
Closest thing would be a team up, and I think that's the only thing.
We'll get a couple more of those, but I'm interested to see what happens. So at the end of the movie, we send all our villains and Spider-Man back to their own universes. But to do that, Doctor Strange has to wipe everybody's memory of Peter Parker. Like, not just him as Spider-Man, just Peter Parker doesn't exist anymore to anyone who's ever met him. And
Does
so
that
he
include the Spider-Man?
Oh, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it must have affected all multiverse. That's true. Did it affect? I doubt it.
So MJ just doesn't know. Like, whenever Tobey Maguire comes back to his dimension.
Yeah. I was
MJ
really
just doesn't remember
the fact I'm okay that we didn't have Kirsten Dunst or Emma Stone. Like, I could take it or leave it. But I was really hoping for actually a moment with like Kirsten Dunst and Tobey Maguire and having like a kid or something, because or just like having that. Like, I thought that might be the last post-credit scene.
I just thought that like she was dead in this universe.
No,
like when Tobey Maguire comes in, because like, you know, in the comic books when Spider-Man tried to have a baby, he killed.
Yeah.
So
radioactive jism.
Yeah.
I think continuing on villains, Electro. I liked it. I liked his villain, like his character and stuff, but I didn't like the excuse of like, oh, just don't worry about it. Why I look different. Like, they even say it in the movie, like, why is your hair different? Why'd you? It's like, don't worry about it. And it's like, it's a funny, like, haha, like fourth wall break type excuse, but I'm also like, oh, come on. Like, I mean, he did get charged up or whatever, but yeah.
I didn't like a whole lot of the villains.
Fair. I mean,
I don't know. I think this was more of a Spider-Man movie than a villain. Spider-Man versus villain movie, and I guess that's why I'm so unsatisfied with it. Because like I really just wanted him to just kind of have a connection with each one of them or something like that.
The villains or the Spider-Man?
Maybe have them last the villain.
That's fair.
Villains. Like, I wish it would have like.
I'm really thinking about it and just how like it feels very 50-50. Like Doctor Strange's character. At points I'm like, okay, this feels like our typical Doctor Strange, and other times I'm like, this feels like a Sony Doctor Strange. It was just weird, and maybe that's why in the commercials we felt like very like, is this like a different Doctor Strange?
It did feel a little bit.
Yeah, so like, and I mean, I don't know. We can talk about another Doctor Strange in a second.
Mephisto confirmed.
I don't know what else to say. I mean, the Tobey Maguire and Willem Dafoe moments of saying like their old lines was great.
The reveal with Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, I hated it.
I loved it.
I hated it.
I get what you're saying, but I loved it. I was like, I would much rather have that, and why kind of it was explained, and I liked it. I'd rather have that than like, ooh, swing in, here we are, surprise.
Yeah, but they were there for 12 hours.
I agree.
That's the only thing that like bothers me. I would understand if they arrived like sooner or like not sooner but later.
So Andrew's didn't make much sense, but Toby's was like, oh yeah, I've been looking for.
Yeah, Tobey Maguire's is fine.
Andrew's is like, I'm in my suit. What am I doing?
I'm just chilling here.
Yeah.
One day I was doing this, and then now I'm just in the alley, just kind of. Yeah,
I
should have just gone in. I felt like at least one of them had to show up earlier. And then that would have been like, oh yeah, he's here, but then where's the other guy? And then like, he showed
the build. I mean, they even had some build up in that scene, but like they could have had even more, and that would have been cool.
It would have been better if we were slowly introduced to them and not just have them both like, oh,
and even both people. Yeah, even the villains like the same way. Like it was like, oh, Doc Ock, oh, now Green Goblin, and then like Spider-Man or Sandman, Electro, Lizard's here too. Don't worry about it.
For a movie that's not supposed to make sense, it really does kind of bother you that they just do show up, and it felt like a TV show.
Still no Sinister Six though.
It was what?
It was only 5.
5, yeah.
They're saving it.
Yeah.
We're definitely
Sony style, yeah.
Some teases we got that I'm interested to see play out. There was a Jamie Foxx says to Andrew Garfield, like, oh, I thought you were black because you were helping kids out.
That was cool.
I was like, Miles tease, cool.
You're from Queens.
They had.
I thought you were just a black kid.
They had even a Hobgoblin tease for Ned, of like, oh, like my friend ended up trying to kill me and he died in my arms. Hobgoblin, he becomes Hobgoblin in the comics. That's a complete possibility. I wouldn't be surprised. Daredevil, shit. That happened so early in the movie. Like, and that's one of the points of like, it felt so 50-50. It's like, oh, we have Matt Murdock and we might continue with him, but no, we don't see him the rest of the movie.
No, just one time.
Great moment. It was
they made it sound like a really big deal in like trailers and people explaining this stuff, and like,
no, he was honestly in there for one scene.
Yeah, he was in there.
Hey, now it's out. I don't think he's not in Hawkeye. That's confirmed. No. They said like, oh, he's busy filming something else. Look what it was. Or Echo. They could be filming. Yeah, or She-Hulk actually.
So he was a little bit overhyped. But speaking of overhyped, though, this whole movie was a little overhyped.
No, I agree, 100%.
I guess that died down with it for me.
I loved it, and but yes, it was overhyped. I think that just kind of comes with the speculation. The same thing happened with us in WandaVision. So, and that's just kind of us getting our hopes up and being, fanboys in a sense. Overall,
it was cool to see them, that moment where they were jumping off the scaffolding. That was cool.
I will say that whether how we felt about the movie or not, this was the best swinging they had, Spider-Man swinging in all of the Tom ones, at least. Andrew Garfield honestly might have the best. The only problem with Tobey's was the fact that the technology's dated, but it had some good stuff in there, and there's so many moments, and I'm not even gonna try and cover them all. We may talk about it a little more in some other videos, like our weekly, but otherwise, there's some. Go see it. Try not to get it spoiled. If you're this far, you've already gotten it spoiled. But
something to expect about this movie is that a lot of green screen.
Yes.
Surprising. Well, a lot of not so well done green screen, at least.
Yeah, I'm glad. Actually, something I think you can tell me probably if I'm right or not. So Thomas Hayden Church, Sandman, he was sand for most of the movie.
Yeah.
And there was a couple moments where we actually see him, but I don't think that was actually him. No. I'm pretty sure that was moments from the previous movie. So he just called in his lines.
I think what happened to him was that they just had him in for on the booth for 2 hours maybe.
Yeah.
And some guy in a mocap was just doing the movements.
Yeah. Which it was fine. I did question it a little bit.
They just probably didn't want to pay him.
But again, it's us being a little nitpicky, but I also think the common viewer would notice that. So it was an awesome experience. I would say it's definitely up there in my top theater experiences because just of the hype, man. Some of the cheers and just the emotions I had, it was great. But Spider-Man No Way Home, it was a movie. I'm not going to say a letdown.
It was a highly anticipated movie.
Yes, and it's going to make a lot of money. I'm excited for that. So, anyways, though, that's been our Spider-Man No Way Home big feature film podcast. I didn't introduce that.
No, it's not a podcast. It's a
big feature film review, BFFR. Yeah. So, anyways, though, thank y'all for watching. Subscribe. Like I said, we'll probably talk about this movie a little bit more in some upcoming videos, if I had to guess. Anyways, though, thank y'all for watching. We've been the Continuity Crew. I'm Will.
I'm Ned.
That's Win. Thank y'all for watching. We love movies. We love y'all, and we'll see y'all on the next one.